let me quickly cut across and bring in our guests on this special broadcast. Joining me on India First is Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author and analyst. Professor Jyotsna Tirunagari is the national spokesperson of the TDP, joins us on the show. And Konda Rajiv Gandhi is spokesperson for the YSRCP. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, I want to come to you first, and I want to understand, because every word of this report, and I'm sure you've read this too, is too horrifying. As a devotee of Tirupati Balaji, is this cheating? Is this dishonesty? Or, as some of the devotees are saying, is this sin in the eyes not just of God, but also his devotees?
Good evening, Gaurav, and good evening to my fellow panelists. What you say, of course, is true. It has to be double-checked. But the fact remains, this is calamitous. Tens of thousands, possibly millions of Hindu devotees have been duped into consuming beef fat, not by a restaurant or a food delivery agent, still pardonable because action is taken quickly, but rather by the most sacred of Hindu temples managed by the state. There is no outrage, no arrest. Imagine, had halim served during a state-sponsored iftar party been cooked in lard, or pork tenderloin been served during government-organized Ramzan Sehri, Gaurav, this country would have witnessed a civil war. But then, this is the country where the holiest of Hindu shrines was demolished by an Islamic invader, and people of his faith still stomp their dirty feet on the sacred relics as they walk inside the place of worship. This is the country where government ministers openly wish to eradicate Sanatan Dharma, call Hinduism as a menace upon the world. Gaurav, Hindus are easy to abuse because they don't behead transgressors. And the irony is that India has been branded a fascist Hindu Rashtra. I want to ask, what sort of a Hindu Rashtra is this, where communists are controlling Hindu temples, where those who want to eradicate Sanatan Dharma are controlling the temples of Sanatan Dharma? Let there be no doubt. This calamity has happened because the state intervened into even the preparation of the temple Prasadam. Contracts were made, tenders were given. This is tied to state control of temples. I won't be surprised if a similar thing is happening for other thousands of state-controlled temples, Gaurav. Why, I ask you, are the communists in Kerala, for whom religion is supposedly the opium of the masses, controlling 3,058 Hindu temples? A Muslim is appointed on Tarkeshwar Temple Board, a Christian on Tirupati Board. Government of just 10 states control more than 100,000 temples. Tamil Nadu government alone controls 36,425 temples. Why? What business is it of the state to levy an administrative charge between 5 to 21% on temples in the name of audit? What business is it of the state to dictate how many times a puja is to be conducted, who is to conduct it, who is qualified to be the priest, what is going to be the procedure of worship? What business is it of the state to control tens of thousands of acres of temple land and then set rent for it? The loss to temples on account of this alone is estimated over decades to be in lakhs of crores. Temple land, then set rent, and activist T.R. Ramesh, who has talked on this enormously. Tamil Nadu government is saying should be earning 6,000 crores per annum from 2.44 crores square feet of temple land it controls. And it earns a mere 58 crores, not even 1%. State control of Hindu temples and their property, Gaurav, is by far the largest, financially most damaging scam of independent India. Even using the petroleum sector as a cash cow pales in comparison to this loot, pillaging happening on Hindu temples in the name of secularism. But then I ask you, just a minute, if the Congress can bring in a legislation to control Hindu temples in 1959, one that still stands, why can't the BJP bring in a legislation to override it? Gaurav, if you truly believe that religion should keep out of state, the corollary is equally applicable. That state should keep out of religion, but does it?
Absolutely.
A Hindu temple, its income, its educational institutions are controlled by and interfered by the government, but those of a mosque, a church are not. Why? Only in India can you step aside and watch as firecrackers are banned on Diwali, but 35 million tons of stubble is happily burned during the same month. When you step aside and watch as sacrifice for Hindu rituals is banned, but the ritual of halal continues, only in India can you step aside and watch as state appoints non-Hindus on boards that control Hindu temples. Only here will we remain silent as temple idols are stolen, temple property auctioned,
and yet call Hindus fascists.
Just 10 seconds. Assault on temples, Gaurav, has turned into an assault on Hinduism itself. As Vikram Sampath said, the day is not far when Hindus will be led quietly like lambs to their slaughter. The only difference I like to add is they'll be made to eat beef laddus while they wait their turn at the guillotine.
Horrifying, just horrifying if true, as you rightly pointed out. And Konda Rajiv Gandhi, you heard Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, what he said. You must have seen this report by the National Dairy Development Board, sir. We've heard what YSRCP chief said. Your reaction to this report, sir.
Good evening. Really, the comments of Chandrababu Naidu were really shocking to me. And I have seen the reports on your screen also. You have clearly mentioned that the samples were taken on 9th July of 2024 and
Yes.
the result came on 16th July 2024. Before speaking as a spokesperson or a representative of YSR Congress Party, as a Hindu, as a devotee of Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam Srivaru, I have few doubts. One, if you see strategically, our regime means the regime of YS Jagannath Reddy ji ended on 4th July. After 4th July, who took the charge as a new government is Chandrababu Naidu. So the sample was taken under the administration of Chandrababu Naidu new government. And the result came on 16th July 2024. Well, why it took these many months? When 16th July 2024 you got the result, why you have waited all these months? It's $1 million question for me also. So what do you thought all these 3-4 months? Do you want to hide it, or do you want to add anything more, or do you want to play with the spirituality of Hinduism? What is the conspiracy behind this?
Okay.
Is my point question. And coming to
Let me
other
take that to
things,
Professor Jyotsna. Let me take that to
yeah, I have
Professor
few more
Jyotsna.
points. Then you can take Professor
So
Jyotsna.
let's take it point by point, sir. Then you raise your next point.
Yeah, please.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
YSRCP is actually accusing Chandrababu Naidu of indulging in politics on a very sensitive issue, saying that if the sample was taken on the 9th, he was at the helm of affairs. Why is it that the report which came out on 16th of July is only being made public now, mid-September?
See, initially I would like to quote very categorically that it came out during the vigilance inquiries which were conducted by the TTD. First thing, it is not the government that actually manages, it's the TTD board and the entire officials there who manage it. First thing. Second thing is that why did they do it then? I'll give you the reason for that also. During YS Jagannath Reddy's regime, what has happened was several complaints. In fact, we, with proofs, many a times we came up saying that this is what is happening with Laddu Prasada, this is what is happening with Anna Prasada, this is what the misdeeds that are happening in Tirupati, Tirumala Tirupati. So you have to rectify it, and we were constantly on it. So once our government came into power, initially not just Tirupati and not just the Anna Prasada or Laddu Prasada, everywhere a lot of inquiries started happening. During the course of those inquiries, this particular thing was taken up, and after that also 520 crore, almost 520 crore scam unveiled there. A huge scam in the Srivani Trust tickets unveiled there, and also a huge scam in the engineering works. So one by one, everything is coming out. So when they were, detecting one by one, slowly, because there is no board as such, so slowly the things were, noted down to the government. The government started taking note of it, and after proper inquiry and proper authenticated documentation with us, that's when yesterday Honorable Chief Minister Nara Chandrababu Naidu garu said that this kind of misdeeds have happened during Jagan Mohan Reddy's regime. Whoever has done it, they will be taken to task. And sir,
let me bring in Dr. Anand Ranganathan once again, ma'am. Because there are several aspects that are very worrying, if not just plainly horrifying. Dr. Ranganathan, can the Center for Analysis and Learning in Livestock and Food report be taken at its face value? Because I want you to wear your scientific hat for a moment and tell us, what either beef tallow or pig lard or fish oil in ghee sample would mean, or as some argue, could this well be a false positive? Point one. Point two, it also depends on what the cow was fed, sir.
A couple of points here, Gaurav. First is, as I said, there has to be a control along with this test sample. The control would include a normal cow ghee that you would purchase maybe through the temple, or possibly just going and purchasing it from a shop. It has to run a control and find out if in a normal cow ghee you would also find beef tallow or, for example, lard, and I seriously doubt that you would, because the preparation for beef tallow involves quite simply taking parts of the beef that surround, I think, the kidney, if I'm not mistaken, of the cow, and then kind of cooking it, and that's how you get the beef fat, and from there you get the beef tallow. So obviously it involves the meat, let's put it bluntly, which of course cow ghee does not. So those two are chalk and cheese. If there is a contamination, then you have to run a control. Now out here, yes. I would, as a scientist, I would recommend that the test be done again, and the test be done with a test, with a control as well. But having said that, please understand the enormity of this situation, Gaurav.
Yes.
The fact is not just that the devotees have been given this. The fact is that this prasadam is given only after it touches the feet of the Lord.
Yes.
The Lord is a living, alive deity as far as Hindu religion is concerned. That is the reason why Hindu temples pay income tax, because the deity is alive. That was the case in Sabrimala as well, if you remember. So yes. Not just the desecration has happened at the devotee end, the desecration has happened, and I'm just quoting Hindu rituals, at the end of the Lord itself. Now, what is the punishment? And I come back to this question, Gaurav, again, because I want to ask the representative of the TDP, is it not a fact that, yes, thank you for raising hue and cry about this issue, but there were also TDP members on the Tirupati board, were they not? Why were they silent for so long, madam?
And Professor Jyotsna, would you want to respond to a very direct question that's being leveled by not just a scientist, but a devotee who's feeling very upset, because the TDP has shared the report. CBN, what has CBN done? What has Chandrababu Naidu done to ensure that devotees get pure prasad now in the short term and ensure purity of the process in the long term in future? So both the questions, please, ma'am.
Yes. First question. The point is, after Jagan Mohan Reddy took charge in 2019, the board was completely scrapped and a new board was formed. Sir, none of the TDP members were on the board. It was, in fact, they had around 52 executive members. Kahan se aaye, kisi ko nahi pata, but we had, after that, in fact, High Court scrapped it, saying that you can't have so many members there. First thing, sir, this is the first answer. This is the answer for your first question. Second thing, sir, we have been constantly, when we were in opposition, we have been constantly talking about the anti-Hindu agenda of Jagan Mohan Reddy. Whether it was the desecration of temples across the state, whether it was attacks on Hindu temples and Hindu priests, a lot of things have happened during Jagan Mohan Reddy's regime, which we have time and again raised, sir. Now, after we came back to power, immediately, as I mentioned, the first cleansing process, what we call in Hinduism and especially in the language of temples, whenever something bad has happened, we start from the cleansing thing. So immediately the first cleansing has happened. We thought that should happen from Tirupati, and all of the charges that were levied earlier from us during when we were in opposition, immediately that were taken care of. And as I said, the vigilance inquiry that was done by the TTD.
Okay.
Because as I am very categorically mentioning here itself. And again, now we are not going to
One
second. Let me complete, sir. Now we are not going to leave it here, sir. Now that proper documented proofs have come out, the government will again conduct a complete inquiry into it. Whether it was the board members who were involved then, the board chairpersons who were involved then, everybody will be taken to task, sir. This is not a small thing. It's about playing with the feelings of almost crores of Hindus and crores of devotees, just not Hindus. So here I would like to mention one more thing, sir. Jagan Mohan Reddy calls himself a Christian. Never ever he has signed a declaration whenever he has entered Tirumala, sir. Which is
I will get Konda Rajiv Gandhi to respond to the aspects that he would want to respond to. But here, sir, now that TDP is talking about a detailed investigation, these details, where was the ghee procured from, who provided the ghee, what were systems of checks and balances in place, the aspect of alleged corruption, will this be seen through the prism of politics or prism of devotion, so that the truth emerges and the temple, that cleansing that is required, actually takes place, sir?
Well, I would like to quote 2 points. I need a time of 30 to 40 seconds uninterruptedly. The Gosha Mahal MLA from Telangana, Raja Singh, who belongs to BJP party, who is a strong Hindu fighter. He always fights to save Hinduism and all. Even if you go through his previous tweets, when tweets when our resume, how many times he praised Jagan Mohan Reddy for bringing many of new things in Tirumala, just like Gollala Sadidana means they gives the first darshan, first activity to Yadavas of Hindu religion. So that was being brought by Jagan Mohan Reddy ji only. Moreover, some people are talking about the ghee supplier changes. For example, previously there would be a turmeric supplier from various parts of Andhra Pradesh or some other parts around the country.
Okay.
But in our government, we like a GCC, Girjan Corporation Cooperative Society, where our people in our Aruku, in our Visakhapatnam region, in our Vijayanagaram region, our people, they cultivated turmeric and they supplied to Tirumala. Like this, we brought many changes. It doesn't mean that we did something for that. But here, we demand a detailed inquiry with a Supreme Court justice, sitting judge, or not a CBI inquiry. If not, ask Chandrababu Naidu to come in front of Tirumala Tirupati Srivaru and take a oath on the name of the God. And our ex-chairman of TTD is ready to do that along with his family. See, Chandrababu Naidu playing a diverse politics, it was downtrodden. See, utilizing Hinduism for his own political drama. What
the last 40 seconds that I have on this part of the show,
I strongly
swearing an oath in front of Balaji. Is that what is required, or Dr. Ranganathan, a court monitored investigation or a CBI investigation? Because the truth, Dr. Ranganathan, the truth must emerge. And that point that you pointed out, I know I have just the last 40 seconds on this part of the show, but temples, should it actually be managed by the government or the devotees themselves or the temple priests themselves? These are issues that the country must grapple with now.
This is absolutely precisely, thank you for raising this point, Gaurav, why I spent a considerable chunk of the time that I was given on the fact that these temples are controlled by the state. And that is why, you mark my words, no one would be arrested. And I asked this question to Mr. Gandhi. If it is confirmed, sir, that indeed there was beef tallow that was used to cook the laddus, do you recommend that the members of the Tirupati board be arrested, yes or no?
For sure, no doubt in that. But if it is a false allegation or if it is a conspiracy allegation, would TDP representative demand for the arrest of Chandrababu Naidu and TDP leaders so far? I, as a Hindu, more than not as a representative of YSR Congress Party, I'm a strong Hindu man.
Now we are getting in the realm of speculation.
For anything to do, say Hindu spirituality. But the same should be from
absolutely.
The other
at least keep our temples and spirituality above politics, because for us it's an issue of devotion. I've run out of time on this part of the show, but this is a story we'll be tracking very, very closely, and it's time for devotees also to think, for temple management to think, who should be running our temples, the government or those who truly have faith.